been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks that I'm going to be doing a weekly pull list for Comic Book Wednesday, and then I just keep not doing it, and I think part of that is because I only get one or two things every week. So I think instead of doing a weekly pull list, I'm going to do a monthly pull list at the end of every month, sort of like a monthly wrap-up, but with just the comics and graphic novels that I read that month. We're starting with April, and I've been doing a little bit of backtracking, so I think I'm going to start with the two trades that I picked up. The first trade I picked up was Volume 2 of East of West. I did a full review of this one, which I will link up above so that you can go and watch that. I loved this. It was way better for me than the first volume, and I think part of that was that I started getting a handle on the world and the characters and how they all fit together, because it's really important for your comprehension, and it's so worth it. This book is the best combination of Western and horror and science fiction that I could ever have hoped for. It's quickly become one of my favorite comics just for its genre bending, let alone the beautiful artwork and the great writing. If you haven't picked up this one and you're a little apprehensive, watch that other video because I talk about why it's worth it. And also, this is just so good. Because that one was so good, I also picked up Volume 3. I read this one. I don't know if I'm going to do a full review of this because my thoughts on this are basically, it's still so good. I think I'll let that Volume 2 stand until I have different thoughts. Maybe I'll have different thoughts on Volume 4. I finished this and went, oh shit. Things went cray. Stuff's going cray. It's awesome though, so definitely pick this one up. Things have changed, people's opinions have changed, everything is happening. Oh my god, it's good. Now we move on to the monthly titles that I have been picking up in the monthly form. The first of which is Wicked and the Divine. This, I think, is issue number 17? 18. This is issue number 18. It came out last month. The next one obviously comes out next month. I believe I did a review of at least the first volume of this. I'm not sure if I did the second or the third because I believe this is the fourth installment. Or at least it's part of the fourth installment of this series. It's one that I love a whole lot. Imagine if gods were reincarnated and they became pop stars. But also a whole lot of intrigue and death and wars are going on between different gods, and stuff's getting heated in this one. It's a pretty good one. That was followed up with issue number 6 of Tokyo Ghost. I did a review of the first volume of this, so I will link that and you can watch me talk about that. This is the first comic in the next volume. I'm going to be picking them up monthly instead of in the trades from now on. I didn't pick them up because this started coming out during the time when I didn't have the money to go and buy comics, so this one's going to start coming as it is. Our big bad, who's not necessarily the big bad, but is just kind of a bad in this one, reminds me a whole lot of the Riddler, who was one of my favorite Batman villains, and I'm always willing to have snarky sort of jokester type characters being evil, because they don't seem evil, and, you know, they're smart and all of that stuff. I'm not sure how this one's going to turn out. There's some tension between some lovebirds possibly happening, and by that I mean one might murder the other one. Don't know. This one takes place in a world where technology has sort of become a drug and has taken over everybody's lives. They've lost a lot of their self-control and all of that stuff, so it's sort of dystopian, not post-apocalyptic, but maybe post-apocalyptic, and this one takes us to LA instead of Tokyo, but the Tokyo Ghost comes to LA. Ooh, things happening. We know why the comic is titled what it is now. I think this is the first time we've heard her call herself that. Let's see where this one goes. And last but not least, we have issue number 9 of Pretty Deadly. This is the penultimate one of this run, which means next month's is the last one, and I'm so sad because this is one of my favorite comics of all time. And it doesn't come out very often because the writer and the artist are ones who work a little bit slower and want to have the whole thing done before they start releasing any of them so that there aren't huge waits between the issues, but it meant that there was like a year and a half or almost 2 years between the first volume and the second volume. This is a really great one if you haven't picked up the first one. It's a little bit meta. It's a frame narrative where a dead bunny is telling a butterfly all about the way of the world. This one opens up with a Chinese proverb that I actually like a lot. They use it as a phrase, one of their 4-character phrases that is used a lot, and it basically translates to, you aren't sure whether something is good or bad luck until it plays out. This issue was definitely one where you weren't sure whether something was good or bad, and I am nervous about where it's going to in the end. It's very moving, very beautiful. It's definitely one you have to take the time to look at to decipher all of the little things that are going on in each frame, because if you don't, you will not fully understand what's going on, so this isn't something you can flick through quickly. A lot of people, I feel like, would pick this up and flip through it and go, I didn't quite understand what was going on. It's because you need to focus on the details in that art. It's the core of this one, so definitely take the time to give it justice. That's everything that I picked up in April that had to do with comics. 2 trades, 3 single issues, and hopefully May is a good month as well. There might be new comics that I start, who knows? There might be old comics that I go and grab and pick up again. I plan on reading a couple of things, we shall see. I also plan on doing reviews of the issues that will be finishing their arcs, namely Pretty Deadly right there. I also know that Low came out this past week, and I will be picking that up on Wednesday. So it will technically be part of my May haul, but I do know that it came out in April, I just don't have it yet. That's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys are having a wonderful week and that it continues to be great. I will see you on Friday for a book review.